Good evening YouTube, I'm back here with another video, and today is an important video. I think we have to talk about this new hero that is coming on Friday in 2 days from this video here. And it's a new hero. He's called Vassili or Vassili. I don't know how to pronounce these names here. I know some YouTubers or content creators are probably gonna call him Vaseline, so yeah, good luck with pronouncing that. Anyways, we're just gonna call him Vassili here, and he's from the Forgotten faction. He's an attack hero. He's a green mark, and he looks absolutely fantastic. Now, I'm not going to read out all of his skills here. You can go and read the patch note yourself or go and read the hero skill, but I'm just going to explain why I think this guy here will be a very nice addition to the game and why I think he will fit into the meta teams. Now, as of this video here, we will be able to test him tomorrow in Trial Arena. However, as you know, or as you probably know, a lot of factors are not in Trial Arena, like emblems and I think auras as well, stuff like that, arcane gems. I think you can't really test all of those things in the Trial Arena, and you can only make, like, you can take your own character stats, so you can make fictive stats, so you can make some, just use that dummy, target dummy 5-man squad that you begin with, right? No matter what, the results in the Trial Arena is not to be, like, you cannot trust that, okay? You have to wait until someone like myself or another content creator or some of your guildmates, maybe they pull the hero, they summon the hero, and then they show you screenshots of video, and then you should decide from the stats that you can see that the person has on his Vassili to see if that hero would be nice for your account, okay? But I think without a doubt, and I will put my old hat on this here if I had one, is that this guy will be useful. He will be very nice, he'll be very strong. So let's talk about him. Now, his basic ability here is doing 2 stages of damage with direct and bleed damage, which is quite nice. It's 120% attack multiplier, pretty high, and also has a chance to put a bleed on the target. Now, his first skill here, called Essence Reaper, is doing 400% attack bleed damage to a single enemy and has a 70% chance to put a or inflict a layer of bleed for 2 turns, right? Now, in this ability is also something very interesting here called Extraction, and the Extraction buff on him actually give him 5% mastery per layer, and he can have up to 20 layers, so 100% mastery, and it counts how many bleed stacks or bleed layers are on the target. So let's just say you have 10 layers on the target, you use the S2, you'll get 10 times 5%, so 50% mastery, and you just have to do that 2 times or twice, and then you'll have the 100% mastery. And this says permanently, so you just have to do it once, or at least twice in the fight, and then you'll have it for the rest of the remaining fight. So quite nice, and we will talk about this ability in a minute because the exclusives will actually make this even stronger. Now, the passive effect of Vassili here, Execution Rewards. Vassili is immune to termite reduction effect, very nice. When he inflicts bleed on enemies with 10 layers of bleed or above, for each layer of bleed he inflicts successfully, he'll additionally deal 180% attack damage, bleed damage, sorry. And that is very nice. And this damage has a 50% fixed chance to be increased to 1.5 times the original. So 180% times 1.5. That would be a 90% on top of that, so 270% attack bleed damage for every layer above 10 layers, right? So pretty strong, pretty strong. Now let's look at his insane cleave here, his skill 4. It deals 7 stages of 90% attack bleed damage, each to a single enemy. All of his skills are single target. There are no AoE abilities here as I can see. Yeah, no AoE abilities, but he has a lot of single target, which means that he'll be very nice on bosses and to kill like one enemy maybe in PvP, but we'll get to that. Now, 7 stages of 90% attack bleed damage is actually a lot. I went and looked at Giselle, and Giselle is like about the same actually. She does have 10 stages instead of 7, but This guy here, he also has a lot of other cool things going for him. Now, it also says here that he has a 70% chance for each of these 7 stages to inflict 1 layer of bleed. Now, the wording of this is kind of weird, so at first I thought it sounded like it was just going to apply 1 layer of bleed, but actually Lance has the exact same wording on his S4, and I went and tested it, and Lance applies 6 stages of 6 layers, sorry, of bleed on the boss, on the target, right? So we must assume that this guy can do up to 7 layers of bleed as well with his S4. Kinda good, kinda good. And also here it says, and this is very interesting, guys. Now, if you take anything from this video here, you need to listen to what I'm saying right now. It says here, meanwhile, steals 100% of damage amp from the target for 1 turn. And everyone is probably thinking, what is damage amp? What is that? We haven't seen it before, heard it before, no other heroes have it. And we did get it confirmed at the developers or community managers in the chat that it means damage amplification. Damage amplification, sorry. And what it actually means, because I asked them, what does it mean then? Like, and it actually means that, for example, Nikki Live passive, where you get that 43% or whatever it is damage increase, he can steal that. He can steal that 43%. Now, then I asked the developers, can he steal like something like skill master buff on allies? And what about emblems? Because some emblems also give damage, right? Damage increase. And they actually said, yes, he can steal the skill master damage increase. He can also steal damage increase from emblems. So any emblems that has direct damage or dot damage in them, actually he will steal that as well. So this ability here, it should say steals up to 100%, right? Because it depends on how much the target has. But you can steal up to 100% of damage amplification. Now, because it's a steal and not the removal, it actually means that he gains it. So you will get 100% extra damage, not like attack, but a flat out 100% extra damage, like doubling. You're pretty much doubling your damage, I would assume. And you're taking 100% away from the target that you pick. So you can make someone very weak, like Marie or something. Even you can't kill her because her exclusive 2 obviously will make the team immune to your bleed damage because you can't crit her, but you can make her weak so that your Marie maybe can kill the other team and so forth, right? So this is kind of crazy, and I also think this 100% damage amp might work on Apsara, actually. Might work. We haven't tested it, okay? This is just guesswork, but it could be a counter to the damage coming from the HP deduction from Apsara at the moment. If we can remove 100% of her, like halving her damage, I think it could be a game changer. So very interesting, this one. And yes, it's only for 1 turn, but I mean, we are guessing that this ability might have a 4-turn cooldown, right? So you'll have the chance to do it a few times during the fight. Very, very nice, okay? Now let's look at his exclusives here. The first exclusive is that his S2 now is inflicting 3 layers of bleed instead of 1. And it will also refresh the duration of all layers of bleed owned by the target. That is very nice for a dot damage dealer in PvE and PvP, that you are refreshing the duration if it doesn't get cleansed, that is. It also says that it will double the mastery granted by each layer of extraction at the S2. So now he goes up to 200% actually mastery for free. 200% free mastery is a lot, guys. It's a lot. And it says here, and the first 2 turns of Vassili, each wave grants Cruel immune to bleed damage on all allies. Now, the wording of this is weird for me to read it. At the first 2 turns of Vassili each wave. We can test this tomorrow in Trial Arena. This is one of those things that we can test. With a successful raid here, we can test how does it work, what does it do. You can do that kind of testing in Trial Arena, but you cannot test like survivability or damage, like you can't, right? But you can test how it works, how does it interact with stuff. And there are 2 scenarios here. First scenario is if it means that the first 2 turns that he takes each wave, then you want to have him with speed. You want to have him faster than the enemy bleed damage dealers, right? Or if it just means that like when he gets to a wave, then the first 2 turns he'll apply it or something like that. Obviously it's nice, okay, because then you'll stop all the Lance lightning stuff coming into your head from the beginning. Lance is one of those heroes that is used a lot in early game, mid game and end game. He has fallen off in end game, to be honest. He's not really in 3 versus 3 anymore. He is only in 5 versus 5 arena at the moment. And yeah, he is being used less and less, but I think in early game and mid game he is used a lot. And he's also one of those heroes that always gets like praised and recommended for new players to try and get. So, and he is very strong, okay? But this guy here will be a counter to Lance. Now, you could just build him with speed if it's just the first 2 turns and there's nothing to do with that. You could just build him with speed, right? And you'll probably want to have some kind of CC immunity, so a lot of effect rest or something like that, because he's not immune to CC, so you can just CC him with a seal or whatever, right? But definitely we will see tomorrow how it works, okay? But it's very nice, and it's definitely a counter to Lance and Reyna, actually, also Reyna, because she also does bleed damage, so kind of nice. Exclusive 2 here is just that the passive effect now is guaranteed to be increased to 1.5, and actually has 30% chance now to be tripled instead. So it goes to like, well, that would be 180% times 3. So like, I can't even count, right? 8, 16, 14, so something like 500%. Crazy amount, okay? But it's an RNG, it's 30% fixed chance, okay? So it's RNG. Vassili can also increase his effect hit up to 100% based on the initial mastery, so you want to have 200% mastery from the beginning, which means that with 200% mastery is going to be the aim for this guy. Then you'll have 400% mastery in-game with 100% free effect hit, which is nice when you want to land your bleeds, right? So very nice. So 200% mastery is my recommendation for this guy here, and then you'll have all of the good stuff that he can do. It also says that when Vassili's turn starts, he gains stealth for 1 turn, meaning you can use him in Liuli bosses. He won't get that nasty debuff. You can use this guy here for sure, and he will also be, well, it's when his turn starts, right? But in PvP, obviously, he'll have some kind of protection when he gets his turn. So maybe you want to build him with speed, actually, to make him fast, right? Now, exclusive 3 grants Resolute 2 on all allies for 2 turns before Insane Cleave deals damage, so very nice. Meaning he will buff himself with 40% skill damage before he does his 7 stages of a lot of damage. And afterwards, each stage of damage additionally deals bleed damage by 50% of attack when the target owns 4 or 8 more layers of bleed, increases the extra bleed damage dealt by 80 to 120% of attack. This is extra damage, guys, on top of the 90% that we already have. It sounds crazy, guys. It sounds crazy, I must admit. I looked at the multipliers on Giselle, on Lance and stuff like that, and he's up there for sure on the multipliers. So damage dealt by Insane Cleave, ignores Immortal, damage res, and shield. Okay, let's just read the rest of the ability and then talk about damage res. Up to 6 layers of bleed can be triggered additionally after dealing damage. So he'll also trigger the bleed effect like Anita or Hisaros, guys like that. And this is actually very important for challenge 8 in the ultimate challenge of the Guild Boss 7. I think there is something with bleed and you have to trigger bleeds and stuff like that. He will be one of the keys to that, guys. He will be one of the keys to challenge 8 on the ultimate trial. You'll have to use this guy here. He will be one of the keys, okay? Now, the part about ignoring damage res is actually very, very significant. It's very insane and broken. He's also one of the first heroes to have an ignore damage res in his kit. And basically what it means is that like any damage it decreases buffs that you have, maybe a Murringing or Nikelif Echo, or well, it could be like actually the Unicorn pet, the 5-star Unicorn pet with the 40% damage decrease, or damage or less damage taken. He'll ignore that. He'll ignore that. Doesn't care about your 40% damage reduction on your Unicorn, man. He's just gonna ignore it. And there's no cap, right? It doesn't say like up to 100 damage res or something. No cap, he just ignores it, okay? This is even stronger than piercing rate. Even stronger than piercing rate. piercing rate on damage, on direct damage dealers kind of make their abilities like a dot damage, right? Because it already ignores defense. But this here ignores damage risk. Kind of crazy. Also, very nice in boss abilities, because every time a boss dies in PvE, at least in some content like Lioli, right, and Wuthering Coast, he'll gain like defense buffs and other stuff that makes him tougher and tougher, right? He'll ignore that. He'll just do his full damage. It's insane, guys. It's insane. Very, very insane. I must admit, guys. Ignoring all damage risk is kind of a big deal. We will have to see that, but I'm calling it now. It's a big deal. Anyways, guys, I think that wraps it up for me today. This hero here, it looks very, very interesting. I'm going to try my best at getting him because I want him, and I think he will be a very fun addition to the team. Very, very strong. Now, the only negative thing I have to say is that how are we going to push him into our bleed PvE team, right? We have the meta team is Lance, Morikis, Valentina, Oliver / Jardinel, and then Nikki Leaf at the moment, right? Who are we going to replace him with? Valentina, she does some very nice buffing and debuffing. Can't remove her, I think. Oliver or Jardinel, kinda important with the speed buff and stuff. So I think actually he's going to take this spot of Lance actually in PvE. We'll see about it, but I think he's going to take the spot of Lance, also because Morikis will still be able to buff this guy here because he's an attack hero, he's bleed damage attack, so she'll give him the 40% extra attack from her passive. So I think Morikis and this guy here will be a better match together than Lance and Morikis. Lance is already doing a lot of damage though, so we'll have to see. We might be in some kind of situation where we can just remove Valentina and not care about the 40% attack buff and the other passive bleed damage buff that she has, because this guy will do so much damage that it doesn't really matter. Like the reduction that you have, we'll have to see about that. But other than that, I might just have to strip my Lance, although he is level 180 and I kind of max him out, but I could give Vassili my Lance gear, and I think this guy he will be slaying. He will be slaying, he will be killing people. He is very strong on paper. We will see tomorrow on Thursday how he actually performs in the trial mode. But as always, guys, be cautious about this one here. Let's see what it does. On paper, it sounds crazy, but we've had heroes in the past that sounded crazy on paper and turned out to be shit. Just look at Kratos and Hogarth and some other heroes that we've had. They are kind of mid, right? They didn't really make it into the A or S tier limit, right? Okay, guys, so that is it. Wrapping up now. Enough talk. Have a nice evening. Cheers. Bye.